All right, now we're live. Uh,
I know.
we'll
I
give it a
saw the
little bit.
tab. It
Some
said this broadcast is live.
we'll give
That's
it a
for the
few minutes,
people
see if
like
some
me
people
that
show
don't
up.
follow things, right?
Yeah, well, that's so that we know that we're live. So that normally my channel is full of cursing and stuff anyway. So that's why it's a little different. I'm going to be a little different today. Uh, for people out there that are watching this, this is Jared. I've known Jared a very long time. Uh, he started as a personal trainer for me, became like a brother to me, and I was very, we're still close. We're not as close, but you have a family, and he came up with this charity called Puzzle Pieces Squared, and I will be running two charity auctions roughly around the same time to help his charity. And I figured I'd bring Jared on and ask him a little bit about it so that you guys can hear about it, and we'll go from there. And if people show up and they have questions, I'll take questions. So let's start off with Jared. You want to tell us about yourself and how you came up with this with Puzzle Pieces Squared?
Well, first of all, thanks, Dave, man, or as I call you, Soften, because I don't really call you Dave. So thanks, Soften,
No,
for
you don't.
having me on. Second of all, that brotherhood goes both ways, and we might not be as much in touch at all times, but you're a text or a phone call away at any time, and I'd be there for you, just like I was many, many years ago. So I am grateful for the opportunity of your friendship and for you to consider me like a brother to you. So the feeling's mutual.
I appreciate
Second,
that.
thank you so much for having me on this. My wife Trish, who also knows you very well, we're both blown away by what you were able to do for us last year and what so many people opened up their hearts and did for our foundation. I mean, to raise last year, you raised over $5,000, and we were able to help two families with that amount of money. I'll go into more
That's
detail on
awesome.
what we do for families, but just to know that anybody that's listening to this right now needs to know that last year, that amount of money that you raised on that one night helped two families make a huge difference in their lives with their children. So, everybody should really feel good and kind of pat themselves on the back for that. And you, Dave, who I know you like to keep yourself in the shadows, but it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for you. So, and your idea. So, you should be thanked for that, and we are internally grateful to you. As far as Puzzle Pieces Squared, which now we are more calling ourselves P2 more than anything else, we're being more recognized as P2. When you see our logo with the P and the 2 on the angle, people do know that that is now us more than the puzzle pieces aspect. But P2 basically was set up by myself. I get confused now with the pandemic, but I want to say it was 7 to 8 years ago. It was basically an idea I had in my head because at that time, and you can learn more about this if you ever want to go to my website, Puzzle Pieces Squared, all written out.org, and you can learn all about us if I'm missing some facts. But it basically started out because my one of my twins, both my twins are autistic. One of my twins was doing a walk um, for Autism Speaks in Mount Laurel, and the weekend before, it ended up being that we raised the second most amount of money of anyone. I think that year the only people that beat us was Home and Car Dealership. So we had raised the most amount of money, and I had done that because at the time, like Soften said, I was in the personal training business, so I had a lot of clients and a lot of influence with people in the community that I could be able to help my son Jake raise that amount of money. Um, but after we raised this amount of money and the event was over, the next day I went into the gym, and a couple of my clients asked me, how do you feel? And it was they didn't realize it, but it was a loaded question because they asked me how I felt. And what they really was asking me is, how did it feel to raise that amount of money for Autism Speaks? But what I found out before the event was at that time, and I never step on anybody's toes or badmouth anybody. Listen, we need research and we need all these things, but they weren't even giving 10%. Okay, 10% wasn't even going to the families or anything. It was all going to advertisements and salaries of the people that work for that foundation and all that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because listen, we need the future, we need medications, we need research, we need the things that are going to instill the future later. But I wanted to know, like, what are we doing now? So families now, like my family, like, what are we doing for them? And I went home, after my clients asked me that, and I said to Trish that night, and I'll never forget it, because she told me, she goes, "Oh yeah, like you have time, and that's nuts. That's crazy." I said, "I am going to start my own foundation," and she goes, "Yeah, yeah, you have time to do that with everything that's going on in our lives." So what I did is I blocked out time from midnight until 2 to 3 in the morning every day, where I wasn't focused on my career, what I was doing at the time, and I had the quiet time from the kids and everything else. And I researched over and over and over again how a foundation begins, what you have to do with the IRS, how you have to get a 501c3, what qualifies for that, and everything. And for the next couple months, I started a Facebook page, started a very simple Facebook page, and all I did was use it for education and information. And while that was going on, I also then talked to accountants. They all told me I was nuts. I talked to all these different people, and they said they said the IRS doesn't just give 501c3 status to anyone. So if you know me, which Soften does, I am an extremely stubborn individual. Okay. And I don't like
Facts.
anybody telling me what can and cannot be done. So I kept
Truth.
researching, and I ended up finding this this case where smaller 501c3 organizations that were trying to become went and were basically, in a way, going against the IRS and saying, we're not getting a fair shake at becoming a 501c3 like bigger companies or bigger corporations that become foundations are. And I filed under that appeal, and I was granted 501c3 status 6 weeks later.
It's
So
amazing.
that is where the 501c3 came from. And then after that, when I was like, all right, now what am I going to do with it? And at that time, I had a client that said, all right, well, I have a parking lot. We have a chiropractic fair every year. Do you want to come and give a little, a little something, a little say something, and we can raise money for your foundation? And I said, sure. And at the same time, also, I was running boot camps, and one of my clients at the time said, let's make some sweatbands, and we'll make it specifically for P2 or Puzzle Piece Squared at the time. And so those were the two first things that we did to try to get ourselves out there. We raised $320 in sweat headbands, and we raised $1,200 something dollars at the chiropractic health fair. And that was my first thing. And you would think, like, then I'd be like, oh wow, that's great. No, that wasn't enough for me. I came home and I
It
said,
was never enough for
we
you.
need we thanks. I said, how am I going to be able to help people with that? Because when I filed with the IRS with my mission statement was that we would help 4 tri-state, which is New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or Delaware families per year with grants up to $7,500 per family. Well, $1,200 and $320 isn't going to do it. So I said,
No.
all right, you know what? I'm going to plan a big gala. And of course, my wife turned to me and said, you're nuts. And I said, but then she says, but if you think we can do it, I'm in. Let's do it. And that was when now Trish and myself really started working to try to figure out a way that how would we put together some sort of event that not only would create awareness, but also would be able to raise the money that we needed. And that's when I went to every client, everybody that I knew, and that's where I said, okay, you know, we're going to try to make this something every year. And we had our first event at Kings Grant Condominium, which was just a little, I mean, if you've ever been in any type of place like a condominium, they have those little group spaces that you can have events in. And we had our event in, and we raised at that event that night, we raised a little bit over $7,000. And I felt really good about it. And I knew that then we could help families right away. Now, let's fast forward to right before the pandemic, just to give you an idea. Right before the pandemic, we
Insanity.
we had the year before the pandemic, our gala, which was our fourth gala, was at the Camden County Aquarium, where we just rented one spot of the aquarium. That year, we raised $18,000. Okay, and we were set. Unfortunately, we had to cancel 10 days before the state shut down. When we were going to have our biggest event, we were taking over the entire aquarium. We had over 305 guests and over 18 P2 families coming, and we had to cancel. But that gives you an idea of what status we were at. Now, to kind of back it up now to 2 years ago, I had two options after we canceled everything. It was either basically, I mean, we're stuck. We couldn't do anything. You know, no, like we can't help anybody. We can't do anything. And it started out with, I had these great sponsors, and I've been very fortunate that we've had great sponsors every year. And it started out that I reached out to two of the sponsors, the big sponsors. One is still a great friend of mine now, Dr. Dave Tarosian, and he's an actual, he's a periodontist in Philadelphia. He was one of our great sponsors, and I probably butchered his last name. So when he hears it, he's going to give me absolute hell. And the other
As he
was
should.
this other was, I'm not good with names. The other was this medical company, Agile Medical Company, which now actually, after the pandemic started, I now work for them. But this medical company that had been a great sponsorship, and I said, well, what would you like me to do with your sponsorship money? And they both said, listen, Jared, we gave it to you because we believe in the cause. Use it however you see fit, and then we'll donate next time when all this is done. And so I thought about it, and I said, you know what? If all these families are going through what I'm going through, I can only imagine. I'm just going to send. I called it oh my God, why can't I think of what it's called now? It was basically a playoff of words on what the government was giving everybody. What did
A
I
relief
can't remember
package
what
type thing.
it was. Some, I can't remember what I called it, but it was some creative name. I think I called it the P2 stimulus, and and I reached out to every family and told them to look in the mail for it, and I sent each family a check. So that was every family that we had started with, all 18 families. They all received a check a little before holiday time as a P2 stimulus card, and then the response that I got from the families was so overwhelming that then I just decided that I wasn't going to be not helping anymore. And that's when I decided that I was going to help more families and get ourselves out there. And since then, we have helped an additional, I don't want to get it wrong, we're either at 24 or 25 families now.
Wow.
So we're at 24 families, and of that, we're also at 5 school districts in this area that
Yeah, I
we
was gonna
have
say
provided.
I thought there was I thought I read on the website somewhere there was one school or something, but I didn't know it was five. But I remember reading one school maybe in Philadelphia or something like that.
Well, yeah, we had the well, that was the upper, I believe that was the Upper Darby school district, and then there was the one near Kensington as well. One of them we provided all their like computer, some of the technological stuff that they needed for for their department of special needs, and then the other we provided in a like life skills class. Life skills class. Brendan, I'm on an interview right now. Please. Um, Sorry about that. We
It's your son,
provided.
I'm not.
I know, but you know how it is. We provided a life skills class material, refrigerators and ovens, so that they would be able to use them and pack their lunches, have somewhere for their lunches to go, and also be able to use the fridge and the oven for their life skills class. Those were the two in Philadelphia that I remember. Um, Sometimes I forget some of them. The one that we just did in Marlton this past year, we provided all the sensory equipment in the sensory skills classroom. So all the different stuff that they would need. I won't do it justice trying to explain it, but there's a swing, there's like a smusher where like when kids sometimes need that push pull feel, and it like smushes them and they get that sensation, that kind of
Okay.
stuff. We provided all that equipment. I probably didn't do it justice, but if you look up any type of sensory skills, you'll see what I'm talking about. But so we did those different things. And then I just started calling us P2 Underground because we are underground, but we've been helping people the entire time. I still wanted to make a difference. And since then, like I said, we've helped 5 or 6 families in one school district since the pandemic. So we've been doing that as
That's
well.
awesome.
And the real reason why, because I know you're going to ask me, the reason why I wanted to do it and everything has happened with it is because I don't, we're in a world right now, and you definitely see it now, but we're in a world where people that are rich or have the money, they can pay for whatever they want. And people that don't have the money and are economically in a situation usually get services from the government, right? But people in the middle, okay, they don't get anything. And if they do
Hmm.
get anything, they get it until the government says, "Oh, you've had enough," and they take it away. Okay?
Yeah.
So I looked at that as what I wanted P2 to do, because um, there are a lot of families, like I always used to think it was funny how the government or anybody can count your money and think that you make enough, because of
Yeah.
whatever you do for a living. What if you're taking care of 4 other people on that money? What if you're the only one working? What if you have special needs children and you need more services for your children? Like, they have no idea. So I used to
No.
say, I'm not going to count people's money. I'm going to look at what is insurance paying for and what is insurance not paying for these families. For example,
Yeah.
insurance will pay sometimes. They'll pay you. You can go through Perform Care, which is very difficult to do, but you can go through these different organizations and eventually get services. Okay, but the government decides and the insurance companies decide what you're going to get. Well, what if they need horse riding therapy or speech therapy or food therapy, like the textures in their mouth, or any of those things, or maybe they want life skills lessons in swimming, or whatever the case may be. Well, the insurance is going to come in and say, well, you don't need that. That's not something that we need to do for you. That's not the same as ABA therapy or something along those lines. So I decided that why should anybody be able to tell anybody that? Nobody should be able to tell anybody what their family needs and what their kids need. Like, we just last week just built a fence um, around a backyard property because they wanted a safe place for their kids who are elopers and like to climb and get out of things, and they live near a busy road. They wanted their kids to be able to be in a safe environment. Well, the insurance isn't going to pay for that. They don't care. They don't look at that as anything. Same thing. We have I think this weekend actually, a playground is being built for somebody in their backyard because they have two autistic children and they felt that it was extremely awkward for them to go to the playground and to keep an eye on both children and to handle the situations that would arise. And now they have this nice and safe environment. Okay, well, who's going to pay for that if not us? Autism Speaks isn't going to pay for that. The
No.
government isn't going to tell you you need it. Insurance isn't going to tell you you need it. So these are where these different things have happened. Another example in Cherry Hill a couple years ago, there are life skill trips, where you go to the supermarket, you go to the zoo, you go to some national park, you go to things that you would normally go to in your life, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
the buses weren't being paid for, and the teachers were trying to raise money through like selling bracelets and doing all this different stuff. And then the buses were messing with them, the transportation services. Sometimes the kids weren't being picked up. Sometimes they weren't being picked up after the event, everything. Well, I stepped in and I reached out to the transportation services and I paid upfront for the entire year of life skill trips so that they wouldn't have to deal with that anymore. So these are the
That's
things
awesome.
that we have done, and these are just a few, okay? But these are a few things that we have done to try to make a difference, small, but make it impactful.
And that's great. And this is what I try to tell people. And you know how I get. I start talking and I can ramble on for hours about anything or nothing and not even get to the point of where I'm supposed to get to. And but this is where I wanted people. I wanted people to know where this money went. It's not that you're just bidding and it's going towards like you know advertising and stuff. It's going straight to help people. It's not. And yes, the research is good and all that, and we all know that. But it's people need help, and all this money is going straight to helping people. We helped people last year. We're going to help people this year. Um, Jay
And
Jay
that
was in here
and
before.
and
Jay donated that.
that's the big thing too, so often because our website is designed that if you go to P2 Families, it starts from present all the way to the past. So are you there? I lost you. Oh, are you there? Okay.
Yeah, can you see
So if
me?
you go to yeah.
Yeah,
So if you go to P2 Families in the drag down. So if you go to that, it starts from the last person we helped, and then if you scroll all the way down to the first person we helped. And so anybody who donates or wants to know where their money is going, you can see the path and what it's been and who you've helped and who we helped the most recently so that there's no confusion whatsoever.
I remember this family. I think I was at the one
Yeah,
event
that
they were
those
at
are
also.
that's the Cobb family. That was all the way in the beginning. But if you go all the way up to the top, if you go all the way
Oh
up to
yeah,
the top, I believe you will see the Jones family. They're the ones that are getting the sensory material and the playground today. And if you go down below that, I believe it's the Fox family, and
yep.
they just got the fence put around their backyard. Is that I believe the next one's Damaris. What did we do?
Brain.
Oh, those we provided iPad for them and some technology and sensory stuff. So like all these different things, and you can read their stories. That's the Marlton School District, the one you were going to right there. So if
Yeah.
anybody can look at that, and I don't know many foundations that really list every single dollar, that list every single thing that that they have done and where all the money is going. So
Yeah.
that is big, because some people want to know where's our money going? Where's our money going?
Well,
And
that that's
now you can
that's
see
what
it.
I always try to tell people. I'm like, this money's going straight to help families. Like it's it's not just getting people to donate stuff. I have the stuff. I have probably more than enough, but I've still got more coming in. And this is why I'm going to end up doing 2 auctions this year. One live on Whatnot, which is a live auction where we're sitting there for 2 hours throwing things up for auction. And then another one that's going to be on a website that's more like eBay style, where you could bid and walk away. But like last year, I mean, we would put it up, for example, I'd just take an item, I would put it up, I'd start it for whatever I started at, and 30-second auctions, and people would just be bidding nonstop. And then it would end, that would go off to the side, next item up for auction. And it's a great way of doing it. Plus, the way they have shipping set up, you're really not paying a lot for shipping. So it's good for them. It's great for me. I get the money right afterwards and I send it right to you, which is what we did last year. And I mean, it worked out better than anything I could have ever imagined. I told you.
I mean, it blew.
When I told you about it,
it blew us away. Absolutely.
Well, they blew me away. The people that bid, my friends and people that I don't know, and blew my mind because I had an expectation of $1,000. I was going to get you $1,000, and I know $1,000 isn't a lot, but I know it's something. And I'm sitting there during the auction.
Is great.
I'm sitting there during the auction, watching what stuff's bidding for, and it's a lot of stuff. So it's adding up. It's $30 here. It's $50 here. There were 2 big ticket items that was like $400 and $450, and you start adding it up, and like when you add up $30, like 100 times, it's just, like you're getting there. You're over 1,000. You're over 1,000.
When you sent me the text, I had told Trish a little bit about it, but didn't really go into detail. And when you sent me that text, we were so blown away. I mean, the fact that it could help 2.
I was crying after the auction. I don't cry publicly often, and it's very emotional. And it's like, and I've said it before, and I say it every time. I don't care if you hate me. You don't have to like me. You care about the auction, care about the charity. It's not, I get nothing out of it. Like, I get the satisfaction of, helping the charity out. But I don't care if people follow me on YouTube. I don't care if you follow me if you ever buy from me again on the app. I don't care. It's about the charity at the end of the day. It's the only thing I'm trying to do is help raise money for the charity. This is
sure.
Like, it's more towards the people out there that show up and send me stuff. Like, I can't fund this auction by myself. If I could, I would, but I can't. But like, I have 3 people that sent me boxes recently that were massive. One was Spastic Collectibles, Jay from Unboxing Treasures, and Chat Matman, 2 of my friends on YouTube. And I got other friends out there that are already sending stuff, or if they're not, they're going to bid. I know they're going to bid. I had other people send me stuff. Whether it's 1 piece or 100 pieces, it doesn't make a difference. It's all going to help one specific thing, and that's to raise money for the charity. But
no, it's an amazing
overwhelming
thing.
And just seeing people, and like I said, it started out as customs, but not everybody makes a custom item. Not everybody has an artistic skill or even wants to try to have an artistic skill. I'm a nut job, and I'm working on a clown now on Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
There you go.
Because Justin lost a bet. So Justin, this is going to Justin. This is not for the charity, but I made 2 clowns for the auction already. Just because I find comfort in doing that, and that's how it started. It was like, let's make customs and auction for charity. But again, not everybody likes to make a custom, so people send me stuff, and I have tons of stuff
that's the thing that is so amazing with it as well. Is you said it best. You started asking people to make custom things, and and then things would be bid on or whatever the case may be. But the fact that even people that weren't going to make customs, that they're donating things to this auction for this cause is just heartfelt. I mean, it's an extremely, generous.
It's stuff they could take and sell if they wanted to. It's mind blowing. Like, when people set aside the BS at the end of the day, and whether they're friends or not friends, or they know you or don't know you. Again, I don't know everybody that bid at this auction. I know everybody that donated to the auction. I don't know everybody that was at the auction buying stuff, but watching what people were bidding on items that, I that we all know book value of, but book value doesn't matter at the end of the day for charity or if somebody wants something. And watching people bid on this stuff was just like mind blowing. And then watching people pay for items that people created that were one of a kind items. I mean, we had two people bidding on a Batman that was a hydro dip. I don't know if you know what a hydro dip is, but
I do not, man.
essentially you have like paint in a pool and you dip it in and it comes out and it covers the item in the paint. And there were two people that wanted it, and this thing ended up at like $75, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh my god!" And that's how I was all night. Like, and thankfully, I had other people helping me out because I had incentives to give away if people went over $50, and all I had was like pieces of paper, and I was lost and confused. And Pop Couple, who's somewhere else today, saved me because I lost my mind. But that's how I get, and everybody knows it. We got
Well,
two boxes in pound from Cope Fresh. Thank you, Cope.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, it's interesting, because I'm sure, I mean, first of all, everybody is extremely generous. Everybody is opening up their hearts, donating, bidding things, etc. But I think it's also a lot of it does have to do with the fact of where autism awareness is now to where it was when we started our foundation. I mean, right now, I mean, if you look right now, you have all sorts of TV shows that center around autism. Amazon just did one, As We See It, which is a phenomenal show, by the way. If you ever get a chance to see it, it is an amazing, emotional, dramedy type of television show. I've never seen anything like it, and it was extremely difficult for Trish and I to watch it. But everybody that we've told
I'm
to
sure.
see it, it is you got to watch it, so often. It's an amazing show. But also, you had the Netflix shows Atypical. You had all these other different shows out there in the last few years that are helping. There's a movie coming out in March called Tyson's Run. It's another autistic-based film, and I think the more that these things happen, the more awareness is out there. When we started our foundation, it wasn't like that, and even before we started our
No, it wasn't as
foundation,
mainstream. It was
no, not even.
it was
And when
very
right, and when my kids were younger, even before we started the foundation, there certainly wasn't the awareness that there is now. So I think that the society and the world as a whole has come around differently. And, and I think that also helps people understand and open up their hearts and look at things differently as well. And I'm grateful for every second of it.
Cope asked this question, which we kind of went over already, but he may not have been here. Uh it is regional. It's Philadelphia, or is it Philly or PA, or what's
It's
your region that you
Philadelphia,
cover?
Delaware. It's Philadelphia. It's Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. Um,
Yeah,
in the
he's
beginning, we did help. We helped get a little bit in California and somewhere else. But what we found was it's very difficult to keep that connection with those. It's easier to keep connection with all the families when you're in the tri-state area. Also, New Jersey is a very highly like a high area for autistic families. A lot of people move to New Jersey a lot of times for services. So we were glad that we did do the tri-state, but we can't help people. We're not that big. I used to always tell people that we're small, but we were heading to be big, but at the big end of small. I never wanted to be where we're too big and then it can't be volunteers anymore, or it can't be, I don't
yeah.
want it ever to be where I have to pay somebody for advertising or salaries or anything along those lines. I want it to be where all the money goes to the families.
What we need is more charities like yours around the rest of the country.
Yeah, I mean there are some. You can find them. They're difficult, but you can find them.
Or you guys should all
Did that
somehow
answer
band
his
together
question?
and support each other. I don't know. I think so. Um,
Okay.
do you guys like those other small ones around the country that do kind of what you do? Do you guys support each other or promote each other at all, or cross promote?
So we really don't cross promote. I've come across a couple where I've lent out like, I've been connected to them somehow and I reach out and I really never hear much back. People kind of just stick in their niche, where they are and
Yeah,
where they're known. It's not, I mean, I have had before in the past where a foundation has reached out to me and I've given them information or vice versa, but that's really where it stopped.
I gotcha. I'm not saying like with money wise or anything, but like if somebody's gonna move to that area and they know like they're looking for potential help out there or something, or somebody that lives out there. I I don't know. Maybe it's something more in my head that I'm trying to say that I just can't figure out how to say.
Yeah, it's
Typical.
hard to set up those things, but I get what you're saying. It's forming a relationship, similar to if you were training somebody and they were moving and you were connected to a trainer out there to kind of give them that
Yeah,
referral or that push to go to that trainer. It's just not as easy when it's these 501c3 foundations. Different ones have different mission statements that might go against your, not that their mission statement's wrong or that yours is wrong, but it's different. And you
yeah.
have to follow everything by the 501c3 regulations based on the mission statement you created.
No, it makes sense. Makes sense. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, definitely,
Anybody else have
definitely.
any questions? Or I can't think much more to ask. Everything pretty much got covered. But again, you now know where the money goes. You know what it's helping, who it's helping, not what it's helping, and it's like I said, it was a cause that was close to me because of Jared. I've known him for a long time. I know his family. I remember when his kids were born. I used to go over there. I played with this one little monkey toy. I don't know,
I knew you were going to bring that up.
but I figured you would have brought it up already. Here's a question: what's the annual goal to raise?
So, well, it used to be my annual goal was to always raise more than I did the year previous. So, the first year was 7,000,
Yeah,
then we raised 12,000, then we raised 13,000, then we raised 18,000. But now we have to kind of take a step back a little bit. So, I guess my annual goal this year would be to, excuse me one second. Are you done, Bren? Okay. I would say that if I had to look at what would be successful for me if we ran an event and we were trying to raise in the year, I would say if we raised 10,000 this year at an event, I would be ecstatic. That would overblow my expectations. And if we were able to raise in addition through other things, 5,000, through all different, like an auction like yourself and other Facebook. Sometimes people donate through Facebook and all these other things. If it totaled 5,000 so that we made 15,000 for the year, that would make me ecstatic.
yeah. I remember the big events, and Jared's got his people that can convince you to buy tickets for things. I'm a sucker also, but uh yeah, he liquors you up, and the next thing you know, you're giving money and you're buying lottery tickets and
Oh,
stuff.
come on. It wasn't the
But
liquor, man. Your heart was open. You were ready to roll.
yeah, thank God I don't go to him anymore. Now I just do it online from my basement that I'm
Oh no, man. If I if I
but
have if I have one this year, you're going.
it matters what it is. I got a wedding coming up, but that's another story.
It'll be
Not my wedding.
outdoors and it'll be in the summer if we have something.
Oh, good. I don't have to dress up, do I? If it's
It's
outdoors, I'm
not
even better off.
it's not
Not
a
that I've ever dressed up
dress
for one
up.
of your events.
It's not a
His last
well
event I
because
went
I
to,
would
I woke His last event I went to, I walk in, everybody's in suits. I had a button-down shirt on, khaki shorts, and flip-flops.
Yep,
And I'm like, I'm here.
because you're our honored
And
guest,
you know
man.
that was big for me to put. You know it's big for me when I put a button-down shirt on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I
I don't know
mean,
how I'm going to go to a wedding.
we're
I have nothing to wear.
definitely, we're definitely keeping an eye on the pandemic, and if it keeps going the way that it looks like it's hopefully going, we will try to have something this summer, and make it outdoors so people are more comfortable and feel more safe, and and it's best for everybody. And it'll be a small gathering compared to what we were going to do, but it would be a great way to welcome us back.
Well, we'll just get a dunk tank and put you on the chair, and I'll remember all those training days that I had back in the day with you.
Thanks, man.
Where you,
I better you and you throw a ball at me. That doesn't make any
you fell
sense, man.
asleep in front of a fan while I was doing sit-ups. Uh huh.
Yo, that's not my fault. That's the white noise effect.
Yeah, it was
It's
ten
like
thousand
that
degrees in that
noise.
gym, and I'm doing sit-ups, and
Oh
you fall
man.
asleep in front of a fan.
Well,
But
that
that's a
fan
whole
was
nother
like one
story
of
for
the
another day.
that fan was huge and it sounded
Massive,
really
awesome
crazy,
fans. Yeah.
and it just put me out. I don't know what it was. It's that like laying on a hammock outside while someone's mowing the lawn sound and you're just out.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
there's a guy on the floor doing sit-ups, and somebody's not counting for him anymore.
I lost
I
count
know it was to
apparently.
better me. It was to better myself.
Yeah, one time out of
Uh,
how many years?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. If I could just end it, at least on my point, just saying, lastly, that unless there's another question, is that a question? No? Okay. Um, I would just tell people I
No,
would
he said put
encourage.
Dave in the dunk tank, and some folks will travel.
Now, see, I agree with that, because he wouldn't have to dress up.
I'd be soaking
Um,
wet.
yeah, but you wouldn't have to dress up, and that's your rule.
Yeah.
Just saying,
If
just
that
saying.
dunk tank
Um,
holds me, I'll sit on it.
but I would tell you that I would like to just leave it with this: that um, number one, that no amount of money is too little. $5, $1, $2, $10 doesn't matter. Okay, it adds up and it makes a difference in these families' lives. Number two, to just always open your hearts and always, not just for my foundation or anything along those lines, but be aware of your surroundings, because you never know when a situation will occur in a situation with a family that is in a situation like this that might need your help or your understanding. Also, please check out the website, puzzlepiecessquared.org, all
Yeah,
written
here it
out.
is.
It will tell you everything about us, from where we start to where we are now to why we do what we do. Also, if you know anybody that can't go to the auction or wants to donate, there's a donate button at the top on the right hand corner of the website as well. And like I said, any donation would be awesome. And also, you can read our page for a little bit more education on any other questions that maybe you thought you might have had that you forgot about, or any questions that will come up in the future. If you ever want to reach out to me directly, you can email through the contact page there, and I will get back to you usually within a 48-hour time period. And again, my foundation, P2, is so grateful to Soften for running this event, and also so eternally grateful, and so much feelings in our hearts go out to you guys that all give your time, donate your product, and also, bid on these products to make a difference in these people's lives. And we can't thank you enough.
So with that, Jared, thank you for coming on and just talking for roughly 45 minutes about it, and answering some questions. And I think, like I said, I think you covered most of it, which was the plan for you to cover it, so I didn't have a lot of questions. And I think you did a good job of that. Um, and thank you to my friends that came out and supported at least the live, and to those that will watch later. And with that, I hope you have all have a good day, and we're going to sign off. So.
Thank you for the time.
I'll see you April 1st. Oh, you're welcome. April 1st is the live auction on Whatnot. And I'll eventually have links down below for everything for the auction. And also, there's going to be another auction on Umpty Scratch's website, which will be more of an eBay style, which will probably be a 24-hour or 48-hour auction. So check out both of those. I'm currently loading stuff up on the Whatnot with pictures of everything and descriptions. And then within the next week or so, I'll start loading it up to Umpty's site. And that'll probably go live after the Whatnot auction, or possibly before. We'll see what happens. But again, thank you, everybody, and have a good day. And we're going to sign off. So, bye.